Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. It's me, the South African Wanderer, and I cannot believe that it's already the beginning of August. So June, July, August is a little bit of a busier time in the year for me because I'm running more tours into the Pilanesberg. It's sort of the peak season with the Northern Hemisphere summer. And July was also the third anniversary of the South African Wonder, so to say. On the 9th of July 2021, I stepped away from my corporate role and began the tour guiding business that is the South African Wanderer. And most of you would know me from the day trips I offer from Johannesburg to the Pilanesberg. I guess on the channel you get to see a lot more of my adventures that I do by myself. And you will see that I also have this great love for the Kruger National Park, and I get out there quite a few times a year. And the intention from the very onset of launching the South African Wonder was to also offer Kruger tours, guided tours into the Kruger Park that I would lead and have people come along with me and then experience the Kruger, which I think should be on not only every South African's bucket list, but anyone from anywhere in the world's bucket list, really, because it's such an awesome national park. So it's always been my intention to include trips to the Kruger on my service offering. But there's been a few, let's call it complexities in getting that going. So I think I finally worked out how I want to do it, and wanted to outline that in this video. So I think one of the biggest complexities with any Kruger offering is the accommodation that you pitching to any prospective clients. I travel to the Kruger and generally camp or use some of the chalets or bungalows in the park because I love being in the park itself. But this may not work for everyone. People are looking for a little bit more luxury sometimes, or a accommodation that would offer both breakfast and dinner. And, the costs will therefore vary depending on what the accommodation options chosen are. So if you think about the accommodation in the Kruger Park itself, you can do anything from camping, which is 400 Rand per night for 6 people, to a single campsite. And then you can do tented camps, which is depending on the campsite chosen, varies between 700 and 900 Rand per night for 2 people. And then you can get 4-sleeper tented camps as well. You can get bungalows with bathrooms in them. You can get bungalows that use the communal ablution facilities. So, the park accommodation itself is so varied. And then if you want to go for a little bit more luxury, you can stay just outside the park. One of the accommodation options I use is the Kruger Gate Hotel, which I've outlined in a separate video. And that's a little bit more luxury, as well as includes breakfast and supper. But then you have to still self-drive when you get into the Kruger Park itself. And then you can get options which also include your game drives. And you can also start looking at the private lodges that then start running into, multiple thousands of rands per person per night, where your every need is taken care of, and you just pitch up and basically go on safari. So in developing an offering, I think that's one of the complexities I've had to work through. I've run two very successful trips to the Kruger with two different groups. One in September last year with 7 Spanish guests, and then in April this year, I took out a family from India. And those two trips were almost two different trips as well. So in September last year, we stayed at the Kruger Gate Hotel, like I mentioned, and we had to get into the park the 2 days we went into the park. Um, and then with the trip in April, we stayed in Skukuza camp itself, and there's a little bit more freedom when you're staying in the park. You get out a little bit earlier in the morning, and you can go and explore around Skukuza and use Skukuza as your base camp. Um, and I think the differences between those two trips actually highlight, this complexity that I have been speaking about. So then, as a tour guide offering a package to the Kruger, recovering my own accommodation costs becomes quite an important thing, because if, for instance, you're staying at the Kruger Gate Hotel and paying 4,000 Rand per room per night, that's a vast difference than camping in Skukuza camp or staying in a tented camp in Skukuza camp, which is going to cost 800 Rand per night. And developing an offering where my accommodation cost is 4,000 Rand a night, no matter what the accommodation cost of a guest is, compared to even 800 Rand per night, may not be realistic and may not fit everyone's budget. So, what I have come up with is a little bit of a workaround and a possible solution to target as wide an audience as possible for people wanting to travel to the Kruger. So I have decided to do my Kruger offerings on a daily cost for my guiding services, and then a cost pass through on all the other costs that may be required for a trip. And in that way, I can offer a bespoke package for anyone wanting to travel into the Kruger that can then either do the luxury accommodation outside the park, the more basic accommodation inside the park, combine different campsites, travel within the park and stay a few nights at different campsites, or even do a combination of the in-camp accommodation and then 1 or 2 nights splurging on more expensive accommodation outside the park, and then make your way back to Johannesburg. I think in that way, we can tailor make a package that can suit everyone's needs and everyone's expectations as well. So then, my guiding fee per day is 2,250 Rand, which would then include, my services as a driver in the park, as well as, tap into my own knowledge of the Kruger Park. Having visited the park the number of times that I have, it taps into my guiding knowledge as a guide in a Big Five savanna biome park in the Pilanesberg, which includes the animals that you would also then see in the Kruger, the experience I've gained on reading animal behavior, and even predicting, where we could possibly find some of the animals that people want to see as well. And then it also includes my, transfer service, let's call it that, where I pick up from Johannesburg and then take you into whichever accommodation option you choose. I think just for reference, I recently looked up what the transfer cost per person is from Johannesburg to a private reserve in Hoedspruit, and that comes out to about 2,200 Rand per person on a service like Easy Shuttle, where they will pick you up and then drop you off at your destination. And then that 2,200 Rand per person is per leg. So you're going to spend, 4,400 Rand just getting to your accommodation, and then sorting out your drives and things once you're at the accommodation is, additional cost as well. So this works out quite good if you've got bigger groups as well, where I'm not going to charge you extra for guiding, 7 people compared to 4 people, for instance. So if you've got a bigger group, that cost per day can be split per person more easily, and it works out, quite cheap. If you're thinking 7 people in a vehicle, it's about 300 Rand per person for a full day drive in the Kruger with a knowledgeable guide. So I think no two tours is going to be the same. Not only are the accommodation options different, we're going to see different things as well. For instance, in September, with the group from Spain, we had incredible leopard sightings on the first morning drive, and through the rest of the day as well. I think we saw 4 leopards on the day. And then the next day, we found the lions as well. The big cat sightings were really good. In the last trip in April, we struggled with the big cats. We got a single lioness on the move the last morning drive as we were heading out from Satara Camp. But we did get the wild dogs on one of the earlier drives, and that was very exciting as well. So, part of the excitement of going into the Kruger is seeing what animals you're going to find. I think you almost guaranteed elephants and buffalo in the Kruger. And then, the big cat sightings will depend whereabouts you go in the Kruger. And this is why I tend to operate more in the south of the Kruger, using Skukuza almost as the base camp, because it's generally has accommodation. It has, more accommodation sites, let's say. But I also encourage that we get out to a secondary camp such as Satara or Lower Sabi or Bergendal, depending on availability, so that you see different scenery and also have the chance of seeing different animals as well. I think the one big thing to highlight between staying inside the camps in the Kruger Park proper versus on the periphery and entering the park every day is you only have to fill out the manual forms that they use to enter Kruger once if you're staying inside the Kruger. Whereas, for instance, in the Kruger Gate Hotel, you're going to have to fill in those forms each day that you enter the Kruger. It's valid for that day, but then you're going to have to be paying, the fees each day with your credit card. You can't pay ahead, and you have to queue. And on the weekends and some of the public holidays, those gates get really busy. So you could be queuing for half an hour to 45 minutes just before you even start your game drive. And then lastly, I think it's not only a Kruger tour. What I like to do on the way back from the Kruger to Johannesburg is to take in the panorama route. So the Blade River Canyon, the waterfalls like the Lisbon Falls and the Berlin Falls, and then some of the viewpoints such as God's Window, and then stop in Krustkop, have a quick bite to eat at Harry's Pancakes, and then come back to Johannesburg. So as much as the Kruger offering is about getting into the Kruger Park and seeing the Big Five. The countryside that you pass getting there is so beautiful as well that it doesn't make sense not to stop and take it all in as well while you're out on that side. I think the last couple things to highlight is that I use my Subaru Forester, so the game drives in the park will be in that vehicle as well, unless it's a bigger group. So for 4 people or more, I will have to hire a a Hyundai Staria or a Mercedes Vito or something like that. I think the Staria works a little bit better because I think the windows in the back do open, but for the bigger groups, we then rotate the people in the vehicle just so that everyone has a chance to sit at a window. And then that cost of the vehicle hire then needs to be added in, but with bigger groups, obviously that cost is then not significantly more because it's being split with many more people. I also take my camera along, and then all the footage you would have seen included in this video is footage that I was able to take while guiding and while having the groups with me. So it's maybe not as extensive as some of the trips I do by myself, where I will go and sit and spend time just getting photographs. But if you want a more photography focused tour, I'm able to offer that as well. I've got spare lenses, spare cameras, 4 Sony shooters, and then can also make sure that we are positioned correctly and give tips when we are shooting. So if you want a very photography specific tour, you can contact me with that regards as well. And then, as well as the photography aspect, if you're more a keen photographer, if you follow me on YouTube, you'll know that I'm also into my birding, and Kruger birding is one of my favorite things to do as well. For that, I would say the best birding is up north, but you know that you've got a knowledgeable guide who knows his birds in the south of the park as well. And I'm part of the groups that sometimes post rarities. So if your interest is more on the birds, we can adjust the itineraries, the routes we drive, and where we go in the park to maximize the chances of seeing specific birds while we're there. So hopefully this quick video highlights the sort of tour offering that I now have for the Kruger, and I've developed after much thinking and workarounds on some of the challenges we face when offering a tour like this. I'm going to add this video to my website so that if you want to book on the website as well, you can book there, but you can also contact me directly. My contact details will be in the video description as well. So you can email me or even call me, and we can arrange a package that then suits your needs and expectations. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.